Let's talk to Mike Neville, former Metropolitan Police Detective Chief Inspector, though, because plenty going on in the policing world, because we've got the old non-crime hate incidents, which have been right up in the news with Alison Pearson of late, and also police chiefs yesterday calling for the biggest shake-up of England and Wales policing since the 1960s, and even Yvette Cooper saying police should use common sense. Well, I'm all in favour of common sense. Mike, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
So, where do we begin?
Well, I suppose common sense is all very well saying, but it's like these young PCs, if they get no proper guidance and they go to these incidents where somebody's making some weird and wacky allegation, they'll think, well, am I being tested by professional standards? And what they do is just record these things. I mean, when I was young PC, somebody would come up to me and say, oh, you know, a Martian attacked me and robbed my thing. You just tell them to clear off. Now these young officers are not in that situation. And what we have, though, Mike, we have a very chilling situation, don't we? It's almost like the Soviet Union or East Germany, where journalists are being approached by the police. And it strikes me that the left, you know, if this was a left-wing journalist, they'd be all over this. But I think if you look at these non-crime hate incidents, they're invariably reported by left-wing activists. And they're a way of keeping people quiet. And they're another evidence of two-tier policing.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Although two-tier Keir Starmer denies that two-tier policing actually is a thing. When we found out this week from reform leaders Richard Tice and Nigel Farage that they're launching a private prosecution against the assailants in the Manchester police situation because the CPS are still failing to do their jobs properly. And we've got, meanwhile, the non-crime hate incident business, where it turns out that over in Essex, while they were going after Alison Pearson, what they didn't go after was an imam who had apparently been complained about and been reported to the police for posting all sorts of hate crimes about wanting to, do away with Zionists.
Well, that's absolutely right. So what you have is, again, we have this situation where if you say things which the left do not like, then you'll probably get a non-crime hate incident. Yeah. If you say things that the left is sympathetic towards, like supporting Palestine or Just Stop Oil or some left-wing cause, then you'll probably get a free pass to do it. But what strikes me is if you look at Essex police or the police throughout the country, they solve about 5% of burglaries, 1% of thefts, 2% of vehicle crime. If they were solving every crime ever and they had loads of free time on their hands, you might expect them to start delving into kids calling each other names in the playground or journalists putting out tweets. But they're not in that situation. The crime rate is out of control. People are shoplifting because they can. And the police are messing around policing tweets and not policing the streets.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I mean, of these new reforms that have been announced by the police and by Yvette Cooper, are any of them going to make any difference as far as you're concerned?
Well, until the police start to solve crime, this issue will keep going on and on. They can rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, but nothing will change. You know, one of the big things, I suppose, is you have 43 different police forces who all wear different uniforms, all drive different cars, all have different departments. You know, you got one police force, Bedfordshire, with 1,000 officers, and the Met with 30,000 officers. So that is a ridiculous situation. Perhaps they might look at putting these police forces into regions. Yeah. But the only trouble there, of course, if you live in Cheshire, all the resources, and you get joined up with Manchester and Liverpool, you can bet your bottom dollar that the officers will be sucked up to deal with problems in inner city Manchester or Liverpool. So people will ultimately lose out.
It will be absolutely ridiculous, won't it? I mean, because it's all very well to say get community policing back. But, I mean, they keep saying they haven't really got the numbers for that, but they must have the numbers because every time there's any numbers required for, say, policing a big demo in London or a big demo somewhere else, they always find the police to do those kinds of jobs. So is it a matter of just managing them better?
Well, sometimes it is managing them better, but what they have is they lost a load of civilian support roles, so you now got officers put into those roles. As far as the demos go, what they do, they bring in officers. So instead of policing the streets of Brixton, Tottenham, Uxbridge or wherever else in London or other cities, they're brought in from the outskirts, not to catch burglars, but to deal with demonstrations. But one of the things with the police, they simply don't use IT. Yeah. I mean, my iPhone, for example, can search for pictures better than images, better than the police can. It's absolutely hopeless. They've got, for example, no national database of images. So if you wander around committing loads of shopliftings across several counties, You'll never be linked. You'll never be linked. It's absolutely scandalous. And they just don't care, to be honest. That's the impression I get from a lot of senior officers.
That's incredible, isn't it? Mike, we're short of time this morning, I'm afraid, so we'll come back to you again another time to